4, 3.
I got the money and the power. Yeah. Once you get a little, they just wanna take you down, cuz we've been going hard for too long. Can't get enough, what is you on? Yeah. Really ain't nothing I can drop that. Wake up in the morning, make it all okay.
Welcome to episode 30 of Money and Power, our weekly look at questions related to finance, politics, and culture. I'm your host, Nathan Martin, and joining me from Michigan, a financial consultant and host of the Rob Talks Money and Apologetics 105 podcast, also on the Affinity Podcast Network, Rob Johnson.
Howdy.
And joining me in studio here in the Crown Jewel of rural Ohio, the live stream superstar. We'll go with that. Jeremiah Martin.
Present.
Together we are the trio of talk, the triad of the tittle tattle and the triumvirate on the tete-a-tete. And you can tell by the craziness that's going on all around us that we are live streaming. And so when we're live streaming, man, we're live, and a whole bunch of craziness can happen. So glad you can join us, but we have a pretty awesome show, a election recap and such. And so before we get into all of that, how was your guys' election day?
It was incredibly busy for me. Just wrapping up some work stuff and traveling pretty much all over the state. Went from Toledo all the way down to Cincinnati, back up to Columbus, back down to Cincinnati over the past couple days. And but yeah, it was fun. Got to meet a lot of people and overall have a pretty good time. So, but busy, but I'm, as always, I'm here. I'm present.
All right. Hey, Rob, and how about you?
Things went good. Things went exactly as expected. There were really no huge upsets in Michigan, and it was a pretty good night. So nothing crazy.
I understand. Yeah, it's same for me. It was Ohio. Things went pretty well, and I mean, actually went better than I expected at Ohio, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. Same here. So good news on that front.
Yeah, and you guys know by my text messages, I was kind of going like, "Oh, this is the end of the world. Oh, this might actually be the awesome," and it was back and forth, and it ended up exactly where all the polling told us that it would be, which, go figure. So anyways, we are live streaming. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask those. We'll get to those. And with that, now it is time for our look back at the weird, the inane, and the general happenings going on in the world by the crazy people who happen to live here, not including the election. News bits.
News bits. Show me your bits of news.
All right. So, Jeremiah, what do you got?
All right. So recently, there was a bit of a kerfuffle with a teacher and a student, and it's led to some interesting conversations. So this is out of Los Angeles. A video posted to social media shows Riley, who is black, repeatedly hitting the student, who returns some of the blows. Basically, a teacher got into an altercation with a student. First of all, asked the student to remove himself from the classroom because he was in improper uniform or something like that. The student refused, threw out several racial slurs, got into his face, was yelling at him, and then ultimately the teacher said, "Enough is enough," punched him in the face, and so some of the blowback is interesting because you have some people saying the teacher should be fired, the teacher should be removed, but then interestingly, there has been more than $90,000 raised for the teacher through GoFundMe, and so parents and and others are from the area and outside of the area are throwing their support behind him. So very, very interesting story. Have you guys been keeping up? Have you seen this?
Nope.
Yeah. So I have seen it, and I've seen it under the moniker of the headlines of, is this teacher a hero or a horrible person, and what should we do? And I don't know. I mean, what are your guys' initial thoughts? Obviously, touching a student is usually is a big, huge no-no.
Right.
I think we could go with a little more corporal punishment in our schools, like we used to. But I mean, that's why I homeschool, so I could keep that. But yeah, I it's interesting.
Yeah.
How old was the kid?
The student was 14.
Yeah, I mean, hitting him is unacceptable. He's a minor. It's words, right? The kid wasn't doing anything physically. The guy wasn't acting out of self-defense. You have to. I mean, you're an adult, right? Kids say stupid things, regardless of what they are. So, unless I missed something in your story where the kid like physically provoked him, then he shouldn't respond with violence.
Well, part of the issue is that there's videotape, but the video only shows after the initial interaction and basically just shows the fact that the teacher punched the student. And so there's a lot of, so basically a student in the classroom decided, at some point like, oh, it's about to go down, and started recording. So that's all we have. Everything that happened before that point is, allegedly this happened, allegedly that happened. So it's still unknown.
Okay.
My problem is this, that the student is obviously a minor. The student is 14, basically not much more than a kid. But so young enough that, yeah, the teacher shouldn't have laid hands on him, but old enough to know what he was doing. And the student created a no-win situation where, you let it be, and what message does that send to other students? But you do something about it, and that's not appropriate either. And so it's, and now they're in a position that takes that one step further, where it's, all right, do we relieve this teacher altogether? Do we give him a suspension? And then, what message is that sending too? So it's, it's definitely interesting. I would not claim that this guy's some sort of hero. But I do think it speaks to a bigger issue, Nathan alluded to this, of, corporal punishment in schools and what can be done, and currently really nothing can be done to students that are, even obviously out of line. So it's really just a catch-22. There is no good solution to this, to this issue, especially once it's already occurred.
Yeah.
Um,
The sad reality is that, school violence against teachers is on the rise. So, I mean, obviously, I think a teacher has every right to defend themselves. The question is, like, what does that entail? Generally, when it comes to, slurs or something of that nature, I'm inclined to think that, play stupid games, get stupid prizes. And if you're going to, attack somebody or such, then, it's a part of the deal that they might punch you in the face. And sometimes that's a helpful deterrent. But for a young kid in a classroom, maybe not so much. So.
Well, I mean, I will say this, that there are many people out there that are blurring the lines between words and actions, and claiming that certain words are, even benign things are hate speech or are inciting violence. And so there are even people that claim that speech is violence, and yet in this circumstance they seem to want to walk that back. And My thing is, there's obviously issues here. This guy's definitely not, shouldn't be lauded as a hero, but it does once again bring up this issue of what role do words have in inciting violence? Do words incite violence? Are words actually equatable to violence? And if so, which I don't believe, but if so, there's got to be some consistency here if you believe that to be true.
Yeah, for sure. I don't agree with the whole microaggression thing where we start talking about, because someone was microaggressively triggered that they can respond with violence. I mean, that's just a garbage notion. So I'm with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we'll see.
All right. So Rob, what do you got?
So interesting story in the section of business and commerce. So apparently there's been a 5-month investigation taking place in your guys' backyard. This took place in Ohio. So apparently a striptease establishment in Ohio was under investigation for 5 months. And this company was owned by 2250 Inc., also known as Sharky's Bar. And the investigation forced this business to close down. In May of 2017, the large charge here being that criminal charges were filed against patrons and employees for drug trafficking, food stamp trafficking, distribution of heroin, aggravated shipment, engagement in a pattern of corruption, and illegal sexual activities. So agents also filed 44 charges that were heard by the Liquor Control Commission, including drug sale, drug possession, solicitation, and food stamp trafficking. So apparently this organization was accepting food stamps in the form of payment for liquors and drugs, and they were shut down. So this is apparently, if you go a little bit deeper and look at this at a little bit more of a national level, this is actually a fairly frequent thing where people are using food stamp payments for things that they ought not to be using them for. And there are more and more investigations taking place on this type of fraud across many states.
So did I miss something, or what's the problem here? I don't get it. What's the issue?
Well, apparently, when the government when the government gives you food stamps or any type of social assistance, it's probably a solid idea not to use that assistance for things like heroin, fentanyl, alcohol, marijuana. Definitely shouldn't be thrown up.
But strip clubs are okay.
No, not at all.
I get the drugs, but
no, not at all. Not at all. So in Michigan, I don't know if this is a thing across the land. I doubt it is. We have the bridge card. So I doubt you should be taking your bridge card into strip clubs and using them. It's not what the government intended them for. And more fraud is being used with these food stamp benefits, government assistance, whatever you want to call it. So it's a nightmare, Jeremiah. It's not a laughing matter.
Well, so I will say people usually don't know this, so I will bring into policy. Food stamp regulations are done by the state. And so they're on a state-by-state basis of what is and what is not allowed with those with the cards. And so, for example, this happened, I want to say about 10 years ago. There was an issue with people cashing out their food stamps at strip clubs in New Hampshire, I believe. And what they found is that it wasn't prohibited by the state. So people just assumed that the usage was dictated by the federal government, but that's not the case. It's on a state-by-state basis. So it is obviously prohibited in Ohio. So people who say, we need, broad food stamp reform, they need to understand that a lot of that is a state-by-state basis. So
I think we need more government to step in and take care of this.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying, Nathan, is it's only immoral because it's illegal. And if it's legal somewhere, then no gray area there.
I'm not saying that. What I am stating is simply that people make the assumption that these things are just illegal and improper, and it may or may not be the case. So,
Well, if you remember, Jeremiah is the king of making it hail. So he is our resident expert in this genre.
yeah, but you don't get nickels on the food stamp.
Yeah, but he cashes them out and turns them into nickels.
Nice.
He is getting better though. He did tell me he started to unroll the nickels before he threw them, so he's getting better.
Well, yeah, you don't want
That's
to.
so much work.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Wow.
Because what is it? How many nickels are in a package? Is it $2? I think it's $2. Right?
Sure.
Two or five.
No, 5 is dimes. So it's $2.
okay.
So $2 on a roll of
Who's the
nickels.
expert now, Nathan?
I'm just saying.
I only
So
carry,
you
I only
don't
carry
want to.
hundreds. Sorry, guys.
You don't want to throw. You want to throw $2. It kind of defeats the whole purpose of making change with nickels. Just saying.
Well, like I said, he's getting better. He was, concussions abound, but he's doing better. So
He is.
Good for you.
Yeah, only minor nicks and scratches. All right.
Nicks.
So, Lord have mercy. All right. So my news bit, and I was going to play this video, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, but it's basically the most Wisconsin thing ever. Dateline, Milwaukee. This story goes to say that she's a cheese whiz. There is a Wisconsin woman. So essentially at a Milwaukee Bucks game, they had a game. So if you've ever been to an NBA game, a lot of times they have this where they'll ask a player pre-recorded. They'll ask a player to name off several items, right? Types of items. And you, as a fan, you have a chance to beat that score. If you beat that score, you get prizes. And so Jamie Keisel is a 35-year-old human resource manager for Kohl's. She was going against Bucks player Sterling Brown. So Sterling Brown, in the pre-recorded segment, he named 17 types of cheese, which in its own right is pretty impressive. And however, not to be outdone, she was able to name in 30 seconds 27 types of cheese. And asked how she knew so many, Keisel replied, "I've lived in Wisconsin my whole life." So she did receive a ball signed by Brown for her effort. And she's said, one of the team's directors said that she's by far the best contestant we've had. So my question is, how many types of cheese can you guys name in 30 seconds? Do you think you can beat 27?
I
didn't
even know that there are 27 types of cheese, period. No less that, to have them all memorized. But here's the thing as it relates to kind of memory and recall. Like, let's just think of the 50 United States, right? How many states could you name in 30 seconds? Well, you might be able to name, 30 or 40, but 30, let's say. But you're not going to be able, you might know all 50 states, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can recall all 50 states in a high pressure situation. Yeah. So you have to know a significant amount of cheeses, like a lot of cheeses, that if she was able to sit down and just write them out, I'm just wondering, like, how many types of cheeses could she have written out? 100, 150, if she had some time. The fact that like that whittled down to right off the top of her head 27 types of cheeses, I'm impressed.
All right, I'm going to try to play this, and hopefully we get sound. So if not, we'll see here. But let me see if I can play this.
Vardy, American, Asiago, Mascarpone,
All right.
Buffalo, smoked Swiss, cream
No
cheese,
sound.
string cheese.
So while he's trying to pull that out,
Oh, we got it. We got it on our end.
We got it on
we
our
got
end.
it. Oh, good.
Munster, Colby Jack, Colby, Pepper Jack. I don't know.
All right, so Rob wasn't able to hear it, but everyone else was able to hear it. So, anyways, that was
Was that streaming out to the live?
yeah,
Theoretically.
yeah, it's streamed out to the live. So, yeah. So, anyways, there was a lot in there. Was Munster, Swiss, Buffalo. I didn't even know that was a type of cheese. So
I just heard her do 27 types of cheese, and I still don't think I could do more than 5.
yeah, well, the clip picks up at 10, so it was you only heard 17. So you had 10 others before that even started.
Oh, that would have been much better.
I couldn't find a full clip.
We need to get this lady on the podcast. This is a true American hero is what I see.
So the amazing thing is that she has a cheese head square from like a Packers game, right? We've all seen the cheese heads. She has that on her head at the game. So I don't know, and it's possible they put it on her to get on the cam to do it. I don't know, but it's very Wisconsin. Very Wisconsin.
If I could use the different variations of like cheddar, like sharp cheddar, mild cheddar, then I think I could probably get 10 to 15.
Extra sharp cheddar.
Extra sharp cheddar. Super sharp cheddar.
All right, so we're
going
to play a game then. So Jeremiah mentioned that under high pressure situations, how many can you name? So here we're going to do.
Oh my gosh.
Jeremiah, are you ready? I'm going to get my little timer up. And while I'm getting that up, timer. 30 minutes isn't going to work.
Exciting podcast, folks. Exciting
this
podcast.
Is the live stream.
For the next 30 minutes.
Next 30 minutes. Start list. All right, here we're going to do. All right, Jeremiah, how many capital cities can you list in 30 seconds? So Rob, we're going to go on the honor system. I'm going to have you mute your take off your phones or whatever. And so
I have to do this as well?
Yeah, I'm going to see which one of you wins. So
US capitals or
US capitals.
World capitals.
State capitals. State capitals. So then Rob, I will wave at you.
Okay.
When you're ready to get back on, all right?
All right, I'm going dark.
All right, so he's going dark. All right, Jeremiah, are you ready?
No, I'm not.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
Are you counting?
Yeah. Okay.
Are you counting or should I?
I'm counting.
Okay, you're counting.
I
my
will
numbers.
take.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
Columbus, Harrisburg, Tallahassee. I'm thinking of a bunch of cities that aren't capitals. Louisville. No, it's not. That's not. See, sharp cheddar, extra sharp cheddar.
All right.
I am so.
That was. All right. Go ahead, Rob. Not that it matters. Not.
Yeah, okay. Sean Robb in the comments has a really good point. He says Rob is secretly Googling it right now.
Well, FYI, Sean, I only use Bing, so you're wrong.
And I don't think it matters. So
it for sure does not.
Rob,
it for sure does not.
Jeremiah got 3.
Really? Wow.
Three state capitals in 30 seconds. So this is
all right.
So on your mark, and I'm going to be counting. So we'll clear that up. On your mark, get set, go.
Lansing, Indianapolis, Tallahassee. Let's see. Sacramento, Olympia, Augustus, Maine, New York City, Richmond, Topeka. Think of the Dakotas. There's Bismarck and St. Pierre.
That's it.
Okay.
You got 8.
That's not bad. Did you get Bismarck and St. Pierre? Did those count?
No, you didn't get them under the thing. And
Oh,
it's
I
not,
did too.
It's not
I didn't
St.
hear the
Pierre.
duck.
And
What is it?
It's Pierre,
Oh, forgive me.
not St. Pierre. And
He's
Fancy
disqualified.
pants.
He's hassling the judge. Disqualified.
That's ridiculous.
I win. By
New York
default.
City does not count, by the way. New York City is not the capital of New York.
Correct.
Oh, that's right. It's Albany. That's right.
Yeah.
See, this is the problem.
It's all right, Mr. Louisville over there. It's okay. It's all right.
No, so to be fair, so my grandpa used to always have this joke: is the capital of Kentucky pronounced Louisville or Louisville? And then it's a trick question, obviously, but that's where my mind went.
So all the times that you've had this joke, you didn't learn anything.
Nope.
Let's talk about Canadian capitals. I'll kick your guys' butts.
Canadian capitals? You're going to do
Yeah.
better on Canadian capitals? Really?
Probably.
You have a Canadian on here. Actually,
Ooh.
you have the Canadian on here. Can probably... Jeremiah is Canadian.
Is he?
Nope.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Let's get into the election. People on the chat are clamoring for it.
What?
People on the chat, they want the election recap.
The
They're right.
election recap. So as everyone is well aware, yesterday was a very important day.
The most important day in our lifetimes.
I actually do want to talk about that too. But yesterday was our midterm elections, and everyone knows what that means, right? You know what they say? They say that you are not allowed to put out Christmas decorations until after Election Day. Very, very common saying. And so what that means, my wife and I, we got a head start. We already have our Christmas tree up, but in honor of it being November and being after the election, and so it is well within our rights to decorate for Christmas, I am prepared to talk about the election now.
Nice. Nice. So it's going to be delayed reaction because Rob can't see you. He can only hear you rustling around.
Well, luckily, I have the live stream pulled up, so I can see him at a 5-second delay.
All right. Perfect.
He's got a stupid Christmas sweater on now.
It is a Christmas jacket.
Oh, you guys stand up. Stand up for the people at home. So that is
You look foolish.
looks amazing. What are you talking about, Rob?
So, oh man, I've just been chomping at the bit to reveal this, and that is the saying, right? No Christmas decorations till after Election Day. I think I heard that someplace.
I don't know what kind of arbitrary crap people are talking about. I put up Christmas decorations whenever the heck I want.
This is actually a good segue. Talking about election stuff, we've got all this division in our country.
It's true.
We've got all this just animus. We've got all of this just bickering back and forth over issues that may or may not actually mean anything down the road. I think that what we need as a culture is not less cheer and jolly. It's more. I mean,
More.
So I don't see any reason why President Trump just doesn't sign an executive order to make the Christmas season last even longer. Officially starting, 2 months before, let's say. And that's a conservative estimate, I'd say. And, and then obviously you have to say Merry Christmas. That's a given. None of this war on Christmas crap.
Sure.
So
Didn't you watch Charlie Brown? It's if you extend the Christmas season, that's just extending commercialism and capitalism and all these toxic ideals.
There's nothing toxic about Christmas.
that's only if you buy into those things.
That's right. That's
But
not my
We already
problem.
did.
That sounds
But
like
that
a
literally-
Rob issue.
Yeah, that could literally apply to anything.
Yep.
You bought that jacket. You're already buying into it.
All right. So the election. All right, so I'm going to click it on to me now. All right, so for the election, the polls were exactly right. Polls were exactly right. A friend of mine, Patrick Ruffini, he posted that the polls were pretty much all dead on the modeling and everything pretty much aligned to where the polling was, and ended up being there. And you can point to a couple kind of outliers. Indiana a little bit, although it was within the margin of error, and so was Florida. So overall, the polls kind of lined up, and that is what happened. So we have a Republican Senate. They gained more seats. So if you want to be a conservative judge, come on down. You're getting on. Now is your time. Democrats have invested in new spare robot parts for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And we're going to hold that puppy out. And yeah, so that's it. So on the House side, the Republicans lost the House, and Trump today endorsed Nancy Pelosi for Speaker.
Yes.
Can't make this stuff up.
Which is funny because no one in her own party, not no one, but there's people in her own party who don't even want her.
There are 58 Democrats on the Never Pelosi list. Now,
That's
some
part of
some of them did not win.
That's part of the joke. Is
Yeah.
So yeah, across the nation, we had some firsts. Much to Elizabeth Warren's chagrin, we actually have the first female Native American elected to Congress. She also happens to be, I believe, openly gay. So
Elizabeth Warren?
No, the person elected to Congress, and I don't have it in front of me.
Oh.
And now that I've said that she's probably not. I probably just read that somewhere. But anyways, sorry. But anyways, so momentous occasion on that one. And then also the first openly gay governor of Colorado. And over 100 women elected to office across the nation. The first female from Tennessee. From female senator from Tennessee and Marsha Blackburn, although nobody cares about that because it's a Republican. So obviously identity politics doesn't matter when it comes to a Republican. So we don't care about that. We have a African-American senator from South Carolina, but that doesn't matter because, he's not socialist or something. And we also have a few more Muslims, I believe. Anyways,
two
across the board, we got stuff, and so let's look at the upsides from Nathan's upsides. We don't have any Beto, or as I like to call him, Robert Francis, because that's his actual name. So he spent $60 million to get an L, but it was close, and I'll talk a little more about Texas a little bit later. But we did hold Florida, so no Gillum in Florida, and we had a pickup as well as Governor Scott became Senator Scott, or will become Senator Scott down there. So, anyways, that's kind of an overcap. Right now, I think that it's the Democrats are at plus 26. They needed plus 23. I think they're at plus 26. I think they're projected to end up around the 33 range-ish. But there's obviously a lot out there. And I saw that Montana had got called for tester. So that was not a pickup. Although with 98% in, the Republican was still leading. So that might be going to... I don't know if he conceded or not. So anyways, the election that was on our predictions, most of us were pretty on with the Senate, and yep. Rob, because he just followed the polls, obviously was more correct than any of us because good job, Rob.
Well, let me say something, because all week thousands of tweets pouring in saying that I was crazy, that I said that the Democrats would take the House. And I was spot on. I was nearly right to the seat, depending on how this shakes out over the next week. So,
Yep.
all the naysayers. I know politics, kind of. As long as you look at some polls and make up some numbers.
538. And 538's polling happened to be correct. So good job. Good job. You found one website. You went with one website, and it happened to be accurate. So I will give you
FYI.
kudos.
Let me
Wall Street.
let me be clear that not everyone was saying you were crazy just because you were saying that the Republicans would lose the House, but at the amount that you did. Nathan ended up going with the Republicans maintaining the House, plus a couple seats, basically by the just a very small margin. But he said he could have went the other way too, but by a very small margin. So it's not that prediction. It was just the amount. And yes, you happen to be. You were definitely closer than any of us. I had the most optimistic, and so my prediction was blown out of the water. But good job, Rob. You got this one.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see for the next time.
Yeah, polling does show that within the last couple days, Democrats got plus 3 percentage points. It turned out that the President of the United States deciding to overrule the Constitution with an executive order, not a good play the week before the election. So a lot of polling dipped on that. A lot of turnout on that one. Not a good move, especially considering the amount of races that are like in the 5 percentage points or less margin. And there are, I want to say, 10 pickups that are in that margin of 5 percentage points or less, which is obviously 3 percentage points overall. So, or more. So 6 percentage points or less. Sorry. Really, really tight. Some really odd choices. Obviously, the Senate candidate in Virginia absolutely killed any hopes of kind of holding ground there. And the NRCC decided to put $5 million in protecting one of the Virginia seats that lost by 10 percentage points, and didn't put any money into the Virginia seats that lost by like 1 percentage points. You also have my favorite storyline on the libertarian angle is the fact that the most libertarian congressman in all of Congress, Dave Bratt, lost by 0.5 percentage points. But he lost in part because there was a libertarian candidate running in there, and people voted for the libertarian candidate, and that caused him not to be able to go over. So good job, libertarians. You guys are making great decisions out there. Good job. So, that was my favorite storyline from Virginia.
All right, so now that we've talked about just kind of the recap, I mean the real question is, and the more important question is, what next? What does this matter? Does it matter? How does this affect our country moving forward? And Tony Vance had specifically asked a question: does this pull the Trump further left in his politics with the House going Democrat? And I think that's a fantastic question.
Yeah. I do. I think it's going to pull Trump a little bit further left. I think that he's going to be changing his tone as far as his tactics and approaching legislation. It's going to go. It's not going to be a middle of the road issue. It's either going to be he's going to work very vehemently with the left and try to get policy nailed, or he's just going to go on an executive order writing spree a la FDR in 1942 and just go nuts and just write as many executive orders as he can to try and overpower the House. So it'll be interesting to see his tone in the next 6 to 12 months. And then also, go ahead.
Well, I think that largely depends on the Democrats' response.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And I think that this is a case where I don't know if they can help themselves, because if they start going on a subpoena spree, I actually thought that it was put pretty daftly last night. Of either they're going to choose to legislate or litigate, and if they choose to legislate, they can bring out Trump's inner liberal. But if they choose to litigate, I think they're just gonna shut it down, and it's going to be a gift for Trump in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I've said on this podcast several times that I was a reluctant Trump voter. But I have been pleasantly surprised with several issues where he has governed more conservatively than even I expected. And I think that is not because he is a dyed-in-the-wool conservative, at least not ideologically, but because he's been pushed in that direction by the left. The left's rhetoric, I think, is a large portion of why President Trump has governed as conservatively as he has. So I think Nathan, I think that's part of it. But I don't think it's necessarily just that. I also think that it's in their rhetoric. I think if from the very beginning, and I think Ben Shapiro said this at one point, that if from the very beginning, the Democrats had went to President Trump and said, hey, you're a deal maker. You like making deals. You ran on making deals. Hey, let's make some deals. We probably would have had some pretty bad legislation come through, because I think he probably would have done that. He probably would have made some deals. So the question is, now that they have the House, are they going to have that mentality of, hey, let's make some deals? Or are they just going to continue to push President Trump and the Republicans in the House further and further to the right? And that's what I think, but that's to be determined.
And we obviously have then a very important leadership race. Jim Jordan has declared that he's going to try to become a minority leader. Yep. So I think it's probably going to be between him and Scalise, I believe. That will be interesting. So, and that will also tell a tale. So, because if it's Jim Jordan, I think Jim's going to hold the feet to the fire a little bit more. But if it's a Scalise or something, time will tell.
Tony Vance also says rumors abound that Manchin goes Republicans. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I said that before. I don't disagree with that assertion. I mean, you're in the minority for the next 6 years. Or at least 2.
Yeah.
It might not be a bad play because, I mean, let's face it, he voted for Kavanaugh. He's not exactly a darling of the left. And, what committee seats would he actually get if his party was in power anyways? So,
yeah.
That'll be interesting to see. But again, it doesn't make that much of a difference because we don't have the House. So it's not exactly like there's legislation. It's not like we're going to repeal Obamacare. It's not. Any legislation that comes out is going to be really, if anything comes out, it's going to be infrastructure related. We're all of a sudden going to be building bridges and airports and naming them after Trump. And we're going to be spending tons of money everywhere. And that's the only thing I can really see the left working with Donald Trump on. I mean, everything else, agenda-wise, they've basically called him Hitler on everything. I don't know exactly how that works. Hey, I know that I equated you with murdering 63 million people, but let's start working together, man.
Well, not even just in general though. Like I think that he could get past some of the general attacks, but like on specific issues like tax reform, death to millions, healthcare, death to millions, and so. Like, what specific issues are they going to be willing to come to him and say, hey, let's work together, especially after their big pitch to their base is we must resist this specific policy proposal because it leads to Auschwitz. And I personally, I don't see the Democrats doing that.
I can't see the Democrat base being happy with that whatsoever. I mean, you have people like literally crying about Gillum and Abrams losing, and don't get me started on the whole Beto cult. So I just don't see how that meshes with all of a sudden, Nancy Pelosi is going to start cutting deals. I mean, how does that get her elected speaker?
Yeah.
So
So
It's gonna be gridlock for 2 years, in my opinion. I don't think much is gonna get done. It's gonna be a lot of political posturing for 2020 with the promise that after 2020 things are gonna start getting done.
Push judges through. Judges after judges after judges. That's all I care.
Yep.
I mean, and frankly, you know what? Gridlock in our system is a feature. It's not a bug, and I could care less.
So do it.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, from all your confirmations go through the Senate, all your judges go through the Senate. The purse strings are supposed to go through the House, but we can pass stuff through the Senate first, send it to the House, and then tinker with it there. I mean, at the end of the day, gridlock and basically the forcing the Democrats to either put up or shut up on actually passing legislation. We'll see. So it'll be interesting 2 years, but the bottom line is the 2020 election starts today. So.
Yep.
So with that, one of the things we had on the docket is kind of talking about, our initial thoughts of what does 2020 look like? Are there going to be any Republican primaries? Is anyone going to primary Trump? Who do we have on the docket for the Democratic side? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
So, go ahead, Nathan. You want me to go?
Go ahead.
So I look at probably 4 candidates for the left that are serious. I know a lot of people are thinking though, because I think if he ran in 2020, he would get ousted pretty quickly, because Trump would play on the fact that he's already lost once, and that would be, you're already a loser. So why are you trying again? And I think that's going to be a tough hill for him to climb. The 4 people I'm looking at right now are Biden, Booker, Warren, and Harris. So Joe Biden, obviously former VP, Senator; Cory Booker, sitting senator; Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris, both sitting senators. I think all 4 of them are probably going to enter the primary as the top 4. And if I had to bet, I would probably say Kamala Harris is going to be the 2020 nominee, or primary nominee for the Democrats. That's my guess.
Interesting. Jeremiah.
Yeah, I think those are likely candidates. I do think that Beto O'Rourke, I think he'll put his himself into the ring. He one of his strongest suits was in fundraising, and so he's got connections there. So I'm not saying it's going to go well for him, but I think that's a possibility. The 4 that you mentioned are definitely possibilities. Trying to look here.
Real quick on the Beto thing, do you think it's more that he's good at fundraising, or that people just hated Ted Cruz?
Both.
Yeah, I would say it's both, but I do think that a lot of that will go into a presidential, because the type of people that are going to hate Cruz are also going to hate Trump, if not even more so. And if nothing else, he's got the street cred of going against Cruz, and from their perspective, getting pretty dang close for Texas.
We are in the era of the cult of personality. And so they had their cult of personality in Obama. Little substance, little governance, great campaigner. We had our cult of personality in Trump. Same thing. Now they're going to go for their next cult of personality. So I don't think it's going to be Biden. I don't think Biden's going to be able to. If it's a Biden versus Beto thing, they're going to go with the younger, cooler, punk rock, whatever.
What about Bernie, though? Like, Bernie was 100 and people loved him.
Yeah, but he was like a little he was a cult of personality. I mean, it's not like Trump was a young, good-looking person.
I don't think anyone ever alleged that.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, a cult of personality doesn't have to be like the dynamic rock star. It's just like Biden has some baggage there, and I just like what's going to play with the Iowa folks. the issue is that he did very well with exurban and urban areas, but not in rural areas. And so how does that play in Iowa? I don't know. But he already has $10 million in a war chest because he didn't spend everything for his campaign. So out of the 70 he raised, he only spent 59. So,
Yeah.
That's a nice little nest egg to start. And he obviously can raise that money. I think it was a cult of personality around him, not just an anti-Cruz thing. And I mean, we can get into Texas. I think there's some definitely structural issues in Texas that, as Republicans, we need to fix. From this election, we need to fix our relationship with suburban women. That's what changed this election. So, and I don't think it's just tone. I think there's some policies in there and some other things that we could do better to address that, and I think those need addressed. But we have, we accuse, the Democrats after 2016. They basically said, it's not a problem with us, it's them. So we can't accuse them for being tone deaf and not learn our own lessons.
So Sean in the comment section of the live video says people love Bernie because he told everyone they would get everything for free, and then Rob responded, "Free pudding."
Nice.
Well, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good Sanders impersonation.
All right. So
Not just good at slinging nickels. He's good at doing person impersonations too.
2020 is going to be interesting.
So let me ask.
It's going to start here soon.
So let me ask you this. So with the constant roller coaster that 2016 was, obviously ramping up from the 2014 midterms, where do you remember where we were at this point with Democrats and Republicans in the primary, or like let's say early 2015? Because I don't even think Trump was officially in at that point.
No, he joined in
The fall of
it was April 2015.
Okay.
We were like 16, 17 deep at that point.
Right.
And they'll be about the same. The better but that was for an open. I don't think they will be about the same. I take that back. The better look is where we were at in 2011, going up against an incumbent. Just coming off a big wave. We had just gotten the House. We couldn't really pull off the Senate quite in 2010, and going against a incumbent who had won the Electoral College in a landslide, but had enacted some unpopular policies that were not popular, was vulnerable. That's kind of the best thing. And I think at that point we probably had a solid 8. And I think that's probably where they're going to be. They're going to be 8 to a dozen. That'll make serious runs at Iowa.
So from Reuters.com, this is a list of potential Democrat challengers: Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Beto O'Rourke, Kirsten Gillibrand, Michael Bloomberg, Andrew Cuomo, Eric Holder, Terry McAuliffe, Steve Bullock.
Is Klobuchar on there?
Yes, actually, I missed that one. Yes.
I mean, she's really the only Democrat that came across smelling like roses after the whole Kavanaugh thing.
Which one was that?
Amy Klobuchar.
Amy Klobuchar, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting 2020. I think I'll give you my 2020 November 7th predictions. I don't know when the election is in 2020. I'm just assuming the day after elections. I think we're going to have a Democratic president, Republican Senate, and a Democratic House. That is my opinion.
So she's, real quick, Amy Klobuchar was the one that asked Kavanaugh if he drank beer, and when he turned it around on her to say, "I don't know, have you?" So, 2020, gentlemen, 2020.
I disagree. I think Trump's going to win re-election.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
So
About 100?
A lot can change in that time, but
True.
yeah, I'd be willing to put 100 on it.
Yeah.
All right. Very
I'll do
good.
it.
We're in different states, so we can't shake hands. But podcast listeners, you can consider this our verbal handshake.
2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Woo!
All right.
All right, that's
I'm going to let you do that one alone just so it looks good on the video.
Hey, that's all right. Fine. Either way. Okay. Anything else before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Any other questions in the? I can't see the questions in the.
No, there's nothing else.
No, nothing. We did have 12 people on the live feed, which is more than we've had in a while. But I guess that's what happens when we don't record at like 10:30 at night.
I mean,
So
it is what it is. There's no way I could do that. So, all right. Parting shots. Wait. Before parting shots, sorry. Big news. We actually have a sponsor. Beyond the one sponsor that we've had since the beginning. So, tell us about this, Rob.
Sure. So we had the opportunity to start working with Hover. So hover.com is a premier domain service. So basically Hover, how it works is you go and you have an idea, whether it's a new business or a blog or a podcast, and you need a URL. So Hover will provide you a URL, an email. They'll get everything set up. And the thing I like about Hover is, one, it's a super clean website. And the second thing is that it's all inclusive. So if you've ever used other domain services, a lot of times you'll go on there and they'll give you a price for the domain. But then as you're going through the checkout process, it'll say, well, what about secure lock? What about 256-bit encryption? What about all these things? What about Nathan eating a chalupa on camera? What about this?
I'm not
The
on
last
camera,
questions.
but
yeah, that's an extra fee right there. That's a Hover charges substantially for Nathan eating a chalupa on camera. That's good. That's awesome.
All right. But Hover it really is a premium brand, and they do a really good job of making sure that their clients are taken care of. Another thing that's good about them, their customer service. You call, 3 rings, actual human being will pick up, no robots. It is a great company, and they're offering our listeners 10%. If you guys can only see the behind the scenes, they're offering our listeners 10% off of all services, email, domains, transfers, the whole shebang. Hover.com/moneyempower for 10%.
awesome.
Awesome. I was, for real talk, I was super excited about getting Hover as a sponsor. I reached out to them because I've been using Hover for at least 3 years for different domains and email services and basically anything related to that for the past couple years. So I was really excited to have them on board. So thanks, Hover, for supporting the show. That's hover.com/moneyandpower.
Boom. All right. Parting shots. Jeremiah.
All right, so Nathan alluded to this earlier, this idea of this being the most important election of our lifetime. And one of my friends posted on Facebook and said that, you know, he was going to start tracking time by how many most important elections he's been alive for. And so he's like, I'm 7 lifetimes old. Because the last 7 elections have been the most important elections of our lifetime. And so I've been thinking a lot about this because it's meant to be a motivating factor to get people out to vote, to get their respective bases riled up. The Republicans do it, Democrats do it. People were saying about this election that the people on mainstream media were literally saying this is the fate of our democracy is hinging on this election, and that if the Democrats don't win everything, then we will cease to have a democracy. We'll cease to have a country as it is. And it's all, it's fear mongering. But there is a sense that it works, and there is a sense that it does rile the base up. But here's my point. As someone who thinks that voting is important, as someone who thinks that it's important for us to be not just politically engaged, but also culturally engaged, like, I've been thinking about the question, how do we get riled up without kind of being over dramatic and saying that this is going to be the most important election? And I was thinking about this earlier today, and I think it's a pretty decent analogy. I wanted to see what you guys think. But I feel like elections are a bit like going to the dentist. You do it every 6 months or a year, and it's important, right? And if you don't do it year after year after year after year after year, then you might have your teeth rotting out of your mouth. So it's important, but who's saying, like, when they're going to the dentist, like, this is going to be the most important thing I do in my lifetime?
Definitely not British people.
So it brings up the question, which is more important? Going to the dentist every 6 months or brushing your teeth every day? Like, if you just go to the dentist every 6 months, but you don't brush your teeth every day, it's not gonna help you out. And so it's just got me thinking about this idea that, we got to do both. We got to be engaged. We've got to be not just politically, but culturally engaged in our communities, engaged in our churches on a daily basis, getting out there, making a difference so that every day we're hopefully improving the lives of our families, of our communities, of our churches, of our country as a whole, little by little. So are elections important? Sure. Get educated, go out and vote. But I almost wonder if it's the daily grind of making a difference that's more significant and ultimately going to, I think it's going to have an effect on elections too. Being culturally engaged and getting engaged in your communities, it's also going to affect those other secondary and tertiary issues as well. So don't just go to the dentist every 2 years. Brush your teeth every day. That's my parting shot.
Nice. I like it. Rob.
I've been sitting here thinking during Jeremiah's whole monologue what my parting shot is going to be. I don't really have one.
You want me to go?
I guess why don't you go ahead and I'll give it a better think.
Okay.
Rob's parting shot is that we should expand the nature of Christmas, that it should just go 6 months a year.
That's good.
And we should all wear
That's
Christmas suits every day.
100%.
And so good on you, Rob. I agree. Go ahead, Nathan.
All right, my parting shot. There's this narrative today. Listen, the election went well in some places for Democrats, went well for some places for Republicans, but here's the line that we're seeing that is absolutely ridiculous, and I see it too often. The popular vote in this election went to the Democrats, but yet we lost seats. And so we need to rethink our democracy. No, we don't need to rethink our democracy. You need to rethink logic and understanding.
You need to rethink that civics class is what you need to do.
Because you're an idiot, okay? I'm just going to flat out say, you're an idiot. If you have posted anything or you've seen posted anything about this popular vote nonsense, especially when it comes to the Senate. And I'll tell you why. Rob, what is the most populous state in the United States?
The biggest state is Alaska. The most populous is California.
That's correct. And there were 2 Senate candidates on the ballot in California, correct?
Both D's.
Both D's. Both D's. So the most populous state in the entire country only had a choice of Democrats at the Senate level. So you think that might skew the popular vote. And that might be a reason why, you know what? Democrats got 100% of the popular vote in California for Senate, and they only got one Senate seat out of it. It's horrible. It's burning the whole system down. This is horrible. And you know what? You may think, oh, yeah, that's kind of stupid. You know what? It is stupid. It is stupid. But you know what? It's just as stupid to say popular vote in the Electoral College. The exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. There's a reason that we are a republic and not a democracy. If you would like to be in a democracy, go somewhere else. Right? Go somewhere else that cares. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. It's a beautiful thing that Texas is completely different than California, is completely different from New York, is completely different from Ohio, right? We are the laboratory of democracy. Every little state is the laboratory of democracy. And sometimes things don't go well or on a national level, but it is what it is. You can't just say, oh, we have so many more votes than everybody else. No, it doesn't work that way. Popular vote is a made-up term, period. It doesn't apply to presidential elections. It doesn't apply to House races. It doesn't apply to Senate races. Popular vote is a made-up term by people who want to legitimize when their candidate loses. Hillary Clinton didn't go visit Wisconsin. She hates people. She hates campaigning. She was a horrible candidate. But you know what? She won the popular vote. So obviously something's wrong with America. You know, how did she win the popular vote when the Russians interfered so much? I mean, you didn't think they would figure that out? I don't get it. Like, come on, people. Get it together and understand that just because your candidate or your party or whatever, you don't have to prove that it was a blue wave or a red wave. It doesn't matter. It was neither. What happened was we get picked up seats in the Senate for Republicans. Democrats got the House. It's a divided government. That's a great thing. Conflict and gridlock is a feature. It's not a bug. And let's embrace it and let's move forward. And let's actually try to pass policies and ideas. Because the policies and ideas are not made up terms like the popular vote. And that is my parting shot.
You know, what's funny about that, just one quick thought, is you mentioned Russian collusion and all that, but if true, that means that Russia had a better handle on American civics than the American people, because they only targeted Russian collusion in states where Trump won the Electoral College.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Oh, that's good, Nathan. I like that.
All right, Rob, what do you got?
I don't know. And I'm looking at this thing that Jeremiah sent me, and I don't know. I don't know. There's really a lot. There's a lot going on in my life with politics. So,
Well, you
I
know
was
what?
going to talk about Jeff Sessions.
Well, he got canned. So, whoop-de-doo. All right, hey, I got a better idea, Rob. Unless you just froze up. You just froze up.
He quit. That's his parting shot.
His parting shot, he's done.
I'm done with this. I'm a political independent. Nathan and Jeremiah are pushing me too much to the right. I don't like it. I'm out.
All right, Rob's back, I think. Rob, why don't you tell people what's going on in February? That'd be a good parting shot. Why don't you take care of that?
Perfect. Yep. So February, it's Valentine's Day. So on February 14th, what you're going to want to do is get your loved one a special gift. Let them know that you care about them. And that's really it. Oh, and a couple weeks after that,
what would be a good gift for a couple? Maybe
That's excellent. Excellent idea.
I think a great gift for a couple would be tickets to the first ever.
And he froze. Yes.
Russian collusion at it again.
This has happened. All right. The first ever Money and Power Conference. And it's being held in Mansfield, Ohio. And you can go to moneypowerpod.com/tickets for more information. And I think we lost Rob completely.
Oh, goodness sakes. You couldn't hear me?
Oh, now we can. And don't worry, I completed your sentence because we're good like that. And I told them all about the conference, so we're good. All right. And I think we just need to close it up shop because you've frozen again. And the face that you have frozen on the live stream is amazing. In fact, I'm going to there we go. I'm putting that up for everybody to see. For Rob. For Jeremiah. I am Nathan Martin, your lovely host, and saying good night, good luck, and spay and neuter your pets or something. Add in something different.
Money in the pal. Once you get a little, they just want to take you down, cuz we've been going hard for too long. Can't get enough with the shoe on. Really ain't nothing I can drop that. Wake up in the morning, make it all day. It's nothing to get it poppin', wanna roll up and away. Here we go.
Good night, everybody.
Are we done?